My name is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. Yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book professionals. And you know what? Please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video. Let everybody know we're here. And one more time, let's bring out this guy, the returning champion.
I'm back, baby.
All right. So how'd your team do in the Super Bowl?
Oh man, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about very quickly a very nice, successful win. And I want to give a big hug and a big shout out to the daughter, one of my nieces of love, Mira Levant, who last night at 1 o'clock in the morning received a successful heart transplant. Baby, I can't wait for you to get better so I could cook for you and love you, love your dad, and very happy. So that I'll take that win. I'll take that win over any other sports win, over any other financial win I could deal with. You know, one of my little babies is she's on the road to recovery.
All right, that's excellent. All right, I'm happy to hear that. Yes, better than
now.
Better
Bring in the other comic book people, baby. Let's go.
Yes,
Let's have a good time tonight.
What's up, Johnny? Please introduce yourself.
I'm Johnny Logan Harley, aka musician Johnny Necro, creator of Frozen Dead and head of Random Insanity Productions, celebrating 24 years of underground comics.
Nice. Welcome, Johnny.
Thank you.
Howdy do.
Up, Ben?
Hey, Ben.
I'm Ben Tinsley. I'm with the Tinsley Boys umbrella of Scattered Comics. Night Owl, the Blonde Assassin, upcoming Jin Stalkers, some really great imaginative stuff that me and my son work on.
All right,
with
cool.
Jason Doopy.
Nice. What's up, Mike? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
Please introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Mike Spring. I'm the creator and writer at Out of Time Comics. We published Red, White, and Broke and Uncaped. And here to talk about comics tonight.
All right, cool. And we have
Hello, I am Steph Cannon. I'm one half of Insymmetry Creations. The other half will be joining us imminently. And we are the creators of titles like Heirs of Isildur, which is our steampunk time travel, post-apocalyptic. Pretty much we've got every label on the thing now. But we are running a Kickstarter campaign right now. We're here to talk about the latest issue for that. We also have an all-ages title called Misfits Clubhouse and a medieval fantasy title called Tales from Nocturnia.
All right, cool. And the other half. What's up, man?
What's up? My name is Matt Knowles. As Steph so kindly said, I'm the other half of Insymmetry Creations. She basically went through the whole thing about what we do, but we do other things that we do. Like Steph is a column writer. She does stuff for Fangoria, Creepy Kingdom, Horror Geek Life, Daily Dead, Horror Buzz. I do a lot of panel hosting at conventions, and we also have a Far East fantasy horror title named I Am Keto. Think Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur meets Mad Max, which is also an offshoot from Heirs of Isildur. And we'll get into all that stuff later. But real quick, JD, I know, or Jay, I always give you crap about sports teams, but I will say this, man. What you said before we got on here about the heart transplant, man, that's what's super awesome, man. Really glad to hear that. And that's definitely the biggest win of all of them. So I'm really glad that was a win for you, man.
Thank you. Everybody home is happy. We can't wait for her to come out the hospital. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, and that's coming from me, and I live to break his chops.
Yeah. We were nervous. We went in a few weeks ago, and things were sketchy. So then yesterday morning, the word spread around the family, and 1 o'clock in the morning, she went in for the surgery. So it was just rocking and rolling, baby.
Nice.
Everybody's sleeping all day. That's a hell of a stressful moment for all parties involved.
All right. I mean, like I said, it's beautiful. Now,
yeah.
Getting back on topic, So Jay and I were just talking before we even came on air. This was 15 minutes before we were even anywhere, and it goes with the topic, right? The show topic. What is your next step in this indie comic game? So basically, what are you thinking in the next immediate 6 months to a year, right? What's that big move you're thinking of doing? Let's start with Matt.
So big move. So honestly, let me say this. I think that the biggest move is just finding a way to make sure that your head stays above water. We know that 2023, the economy was really bad. The Kickstarter economy right now is really depressed. If you look at the vast majority of campaigns out there, obviously you have some that as soon as they hit the enter button, they're in 5 digits before they're even fingers off the keyboard. But most of us, the campaigns are in a bit of a slog. So it's we've been doing some ways to find out what we can do to stay ahead of that game and not just be continually like, let's go spend far more money to produce the issue than we can make on the campaign. As soon as Heirs of Isildur the Perilous Prospects 3 is off, we're going to be announcing what our next campaign is going to be, and we think that that's going to address part of that. We're not going to talk about that now since we've got Heirs of Isildur on it right now, but we definitely do have a plan.
Fair enough. Sounds good. Ben, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm with the keeping your head above water plan myself. We've actually got 2 things we're actually working on from scratch, but we've also got a couple of comics in the can we've been holding on to for the right time, including actually the translation of my late mother's novel into comic book form. So we're trying to find an audience for that. It's a romance novel, and we're just kind of navigating the genres, the places to place it. But that, and some basic imagination stuff. A really big women with swords kind of extravaganza called Apollo and the Artemis Kill Squad. That's coming up too, but that's one of the ones from scratch. But we've got a few in the can, hoping to, this last one we had Night Owl. Our Night Owl drive was so hard. It was like a nail biter, bit by bit. We barely got across the finish line. Hoping to maybe lower from 5 to 3, just so we don't have to worry about past it and then kind of moving forward. But we're enthusiastic. We're 4 in and no failures yet. So Kickstarter. So
okay, well, that's fair. Cool, Mike. What are your thoughts?
Kickstarter, of course, is the name of the game for a lot of us indie creators, and I'm launching my new one. And personally, as far as my kind of next step, each of my Kickstarters has grown a little bit over the past 4 years. The last one I did got this close to cracking 10,000 for the first time. And so I'm hoping this will be the one that finally pushes over it, just as like a sense of personal accomplishment to be able to say that I cracked 10K would be really nice. And also I have started sending out some pitches and submissions to indie comics companies. Much as I love self-publishing, I'm also not opposed to getting paid to write. So, I've made some good contacts at a few of the small to medium indie companies, and I've started sending out some pitches, and I know it's going to be a lot of no's before I get to a yes, but I'm kind of trying to do that while I'm creating my own, and publishing my own stuff at the same time.
All right, cool. Steph, what are your big plans?
It's a lot of what Matt said. Since we are in Symmetry Creations, we are a content creation LLC, and the titles that we do, we work on together. But I'll just echo what everyone else said. We're all just trying to ride the wave of the ups and downs of what the economy is right now and the future of comic conventions and what that means. It's a lot harder. Comic conventions still have their merit, but it's a lot more difficult right now to come out on top with them when table and booth prices are increasing, and everyone seems to, at least with the bigger cons, they just want to go in and spend hundreds of dollars to get a celebrity signature, and they don't really stop by the Indie Comics booth as much as they used to. Whether that was, and who knows, maybe that's just the sign of the times, but you know what, we're going to be pushing forward positively and trying to do the best that we can.
All right, cool. Johnny, what are you thinking?
Well, so far I don't go to any cons that charge me to be a guest at them. I go to the Great Media Comic-Con down south of me, but they treat me really good. As far as the Kickstarter stuff, I don't really do that either. I do Frozen Dead all year round for free as a public service because of my roots. And then my loyal readers, just like right now, I'm fundraising for my new book that's coming out, and they're just PayPaling me money. So it's nice when you have a loyal followership. They're limited edition print runs. most of the year we just make money on our merch or our horror adorables are. So what's coming next? I got a few things in the fire, some horror related things. You got to work for Fangoria. I'm starting freelancing for Monster Mag, which is a pretty new one. And I'm doing a little bit more in the horror film industry, as well as I got to work on my new album. And We Are Horror Records out of England has a couple of my songs they want to put on comps. So I'm busy with all forms of this entertainment, and it's all horror rock related. So
very nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. Mr. Rosario, what are your big doings?
Yeah. All right. I got 4 campaigns in the pipe to be released this year. All my work, everything has been paid for on that. I'm going to run it back on one that failed the last year. Right. I chose the name Unstoppable Comics. Got to live up to it. Right. Just because we fell flat on our face doesn't mean we can't take another shot at it. We are going to finally release the action figures on Kickstarter. See if we can raise the money without my wife kicking me out of the house. You know, I mean, we spent a hell of a lot of money on production, tooling, development, all of that stuff. And it's February. So February, the entire month of China just shuts down for Chinese New Year. So, getting my final quote so we can get the ball rolling and go from there has been let's leave that till March, right? Kind of. But one of the things I want to focus on are my margins. My last campaign was 1 book, 1 cover. That's it. We focus a lot on our back stock, a lot on the catalog, on combining packages, and just hitting stretch goals with our trading cards, which are within the Venn diagram. And it's also another tier when we sell the entire unit of cards. So it's not like that money's going to go to waste. But when I ran that margin against the numbers I hit for my last campaign, which was 8 different covers, 4 different premium covers, the different cover artists, it was like, fuck, excuse me. Yeah, I made, I turned around more of a profit on this one than the last one. So focusing on my margins, focusing on my catalog, even if I'm not hitting big numbers, just making sure I hit a good turnaround on it. That's it. That's it. Focusing on trying to lean more into the business side than the hobby side, right? Try to make money in this game is a premium for a lot of us. Just to raise operating capital is the key. That's the big step going forward, right? Grow the war chest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. True enough. All right. For myself, similar to Mike, I'm going in a process of reaching out to bigger publishers to see if I can get something going. Not necessarily right for them, but to see if I can get one of my properties put out. So we'll see what happens. And that's later on in the year. And if that doesn't happen, I will be refocusing in on the direct market, whether that's as a self-publisher or going in with somebody like, maybe I'll talk to Ben Dunn or maybe a couple other companies that I've spoken to that have shown interest. But those are my goals, which would be interesting to go into, especially trying to get into the direct market if I go that route. So we'll see what happens. Jay, you're up.
All right. Not as much a business question than a mental question. How do you fight off procrastination and deal with the work that you have to deal with? And I'm not just talking about, I'll get to it, but handling, for argument's sake, your honey-do list. So that way, or chores around the house, because, they need to get done. But, really at the end of the day, you got to get your shit together. So how do you fight off procrastination and focus on the work that is on your plate.
All right, Ben, what are your thoughts?
I'm the king of procrastination. I like to say lots and lots of coffee, or the panic of being so behind, or what have you, or just somebody coming up to you and say, "Hey, didn't you tell me like a year and a half ago that you'd have this done in 3 months?" So something like that. I don't, let me know if you find something out, because I really want to know.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not procrastinating.
That's why I asked.
Nice. Mike, what are you thinking?
Yeah, to give a semi-cliched answer, I think I hate to say that I work well under pressure, but I've sort of given up on trying to fight procrastination. I just realized that I do pretty well just finishing everything last minute, and in my professional outside of comics life, I teach a lot of ways to have like soft skills and business skills and things like that. And so we do a lot of these like personality assessments with people and stuff. And I've learned through all these things I've gotten certified in that's just every one of them is like, hey, you're friendly and outgoing and you hate schedules and you like to do everything last minute. So I've sort of just been like, you know what? I do. And, it'll be like the night before I launch Kickstarter and I'll be polishing off all of the, the reward graphics and descriptions and everything. And then I launch and it tends to go well. So, that's kind of I just sort of give into it now. And as long as it doesn't get too out of control, I don't wait till like the very, very last minute. I just sort of wait till like the semi last minute. That seems to work for me pretty well.
All right,
Very good.
cool. Steph, how do you do?
Well, we are kind of the king and queen of just grinding. I mean, I'm trying to find a way to say it without sounding like we're bragging, because we just don't. Procrastination is just not in our DNA. I get up at 4:30 in the morning to run, and my day is nonstop until I.
It's a positive skill of ours.
That's not how we operate. We don't get up in the morning and go, we're going to waste half the day. That's just not who we are. And that's why we work so well together. It's just not in our DNA. But that does come with a sacrifice. That means that we're not getting a lot of sleep and we're working all day long, all the time. And the hope is that it's going to pay off in the end. But my system is to get up, run, get any kind of household chores out of the way. And we're talking really early in the morning, get my kid off to school. And then at 8 a.m. my time, like 8:45 my time, I'm already on the phone with Matt and we're working all the way through the day until I have to pick my kid up and do dinner and do the rest. So it's just, you never stop. So I'll probably die of a heart attack at like age 50, but we're having fun right now while we're doing it.
Dude, I'm curious, Steph, do people who like running know that they don't have to? Like, is that like, somebody at some point told you, like, you don't have to run. That's not a thing people have to do.
No, I do it because I like it.
All right. I'm just joking.
Actually, I had to stop running because of my hip replacement. So I'd love to have my hip back so I could run again. I just have to power walk now. So.
Hey, listen, at least you got that.
Yeah.
Johnny, what are your thoughts? How do you beat procrastination?
I don't really procrastinate as much as I get distracted I get distracted talking to followers and promoting and other projects, but I don't really have a lot of time with everything I do. I kind of juggle it. And if I'm doing music, I'm not doing art. If I'm doing art, I'm not doing acting and so forth. But I work 12-hour days. So my days are like really crunch at my regular job anyways. So like this time, I'm almost done with this book. It's a really important story. I just took off work. I said, all right, I'm using my vacation times. I'm good at crunch time, because this actually started as a daily strip down in Texas for the largest college newspaper in the country, the Daily Texan, freelance while living in an armchair. So yeah, I'm used to being able to just do a lot at once, get it done, and I ink it, I write it, I do everything. So really procrastinating, no. Getting distracted, yeah.
Nice. All right, Matt, what are your thoughts?
So the other part of what Steph was saying is we found that the best thing we can do is to track everything. I'm a huge believer in Google Docs, Google Sheets, spreadsheets. With me being in Florida, her being in California, and running a business together, we can't just have it scratched on a notepad in front of us. Every little thing that we do, we track it all, so that way, when you get to the end of the day, you're like, did I get anything done? And you're like, hey, I sent an email to this guy. I worked on some music. I responded back to this. I responded back to JD about his show. And you can look at the day and you're like, hey, we got 25 things done. What are the things that we didn't get done? Let's make sure that we have that list, so when we start the next day, that we've got that right there in our face. And that helps dramatically with us being able to make sure that we're celebrating every little tiny win and making sure that there's not big things that are slipping through the cracks. That's how we operate, and really helps us out.
All right, cool. Wow, procrastination. I mean, I don't procrastinate, but I do tend to waste time just scrolling on shit on Facebook. But I make sure to put in every day a certain amount of time on comics work, whether it be 1 or 2 hours, because I got a full-time job, so I have to do that. Got a relationship, got to take care of that. And then, I have other people who want my attention. But I make sure that I give myself at least a couple hours every day on my comics. So it doesn't matter what it is, whether I'm editing, lettering, writing. And writing pretty much happens every day because I take a subway back and forth from work, and I'm usually on the subway writing at some point. So that happens. And then, like I said, when I'm at home, at least a couple hours. And it takes various forms. Sometimes it's lettering, sometimes editing, sometimes it's just me talking to artists, but I'm doing something. And it usually is for like a couple hours every day. And, for me, it's always been consistency, and that's the only reason I've been able to get so much done that I've gotten done. It's just by being consistent and just, it's like knocking down a tree. You just got to keep hitting it, until you get through it. So, Jay, your own question, sir. What do you got?
So, okay. I wait till the house is on fire. I go make a cup of tea. I'll watch it burn off a bit. Then I'll look for the phone. I'll call somebody else before I call the fire department to let them know, hey, come see this. It's beautiful. It's an amazing fucking sight. Then in the middle of like shit, I forgot to do the dishes. That's what's going down here. Am I always working on something? Yes, Matt, I'm always working on something. There's always development going on. I could be in the car with my wife and she can smell my brain, just like the gears, just like she can smell the grinding, because I get that 4-off look. And I think I got undiagnosed ADD, because I could jump from topic to topic in a 5-minute conversation like no tomorrow. I know what I got to get done. I know what needs to get done, but there's also what I want to do. And what I want to do is fucking have a good time in my life. Yes, I'm running a business technically, right? This is an LLC. But unfortunately, this is not what is paying the bills for me. This is not what's keeping the lights on, right? So I got to focus on what keeps the lights on first. I got to focus on getting ready for my retirement. I know this sounds weird. I've said this many, many times. I'm 5 years away from retirement. I just completed 20 years a few weeks ago. So once I put that to bed, I can focus on comics full time and my marriage, which is important to me. Not that my marriage is in trouble, but making sure that my wife is healthy and doing this with me together is a blessing. It's a goal, right? I want to make sure she's with me at conventions. I want to make sure she's able to celebrate these wins with me. Fighting off procrastination, it's just trying to keep all 3 worlds running at the same time is fucking exhausting. So every once in a while I do need to sit back for a moment, right? And look at the flowers blossoming, enjoy it, or enjoy the fire that's crashing down around me, because sometimes that also sparks imagination as well.
I like you, Jay.
It comes from being a Jets fan, right? You got to enjoy the crash. You're riding the wave on the big fucking board, and you could have gotten off, but you know what? I want to crash. I want to crash because I want to enjoy this to the very last second. And then I'll focus on the other shit after, I heal up.
All right. And let me tell you, he's not wrong. I've spoken to him on the phone. It is very hard to keep him on target. It's just like, bro, we're talking about this, not about the thing. We're talking about this. I don't want to talk about pizza. I want to talk about this.
Yet. I'm like, I am that pit bull. You point me in a direction, and if you could harness that energy, focus it, oh my God, I'm tearing shit up. I'll run through a brick wall head first. I just need to make sure that somebody's around me to see that I got the helmet on before I do it. That's the way I operate on a day-to-day, man.
Right. Exactly. All right, I got a creator question for everybody, right? We're all creators here, so here's one for you guys. When you first think of a new project, what's the first thing you take into consideration? Title, character, plot, setting, right? Et cetera, et cetera. What's like that first thing you really consider? Mike, you're up.
Yeah, for me, it's sort of like the log line, if you will, like the sort of 1 or 2 sentence concept is always the first thing I think of for the most part. Occasionally the title hits me first, but a lot of times the title is kind of is the same thing as the idea. Like, for example, my newest book that I'm launching the campaign for is called The 8-Bit Slasher, and it's about a video game version of a slasher movie character who gets sucked into the real world from the video game and starts killing teenagers, right? And so, like, the idea and the title sort of hit me concurrently, but I knew I wanted to, like, mash up video games and slasher films, and so the pretty much that idea kind of hit me, and then the title hit me just like that. My last book was a superhero rom-com. I kind of knew the plot, like I just sort of had the basic 1 or 2 sentence plot first, and then like with that book, it took me forever to come up with a title for it that was called Uncaped. So for me, it's always just sort of that like concept, the big idea behind it, and then everything else flows from there.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Steph?
So individually, I have a bad habit of just thinking of setting first. Like, I'll be like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool to do like a jungle adventure story? And people are like, yeah, and like, what about it? I'm like, I don't know, it'd be cool. But in all reality, when Matt and I are working together on a story, it's much more detailed than that. Normally, and because a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now are offshoots of the main title that we are working on, which is Zaris Vasildor, we don't have to worry about those finer details because they're kind of already in place. But one of the main things, and Matt is a huge proponent of this, is thinking about where the story is going, the ending. His biggest story pet peeve is a story, whether it's television or movie or a comic or a book, that seems to kind of meander somewhere halfway through and doesn't really seem like the creators knew what they were doing or had an ending in mind. And so we always break it down to where we go, okay, this is the character. And I've learned a lot over the years as far as writing goes. And now one of my biggest things is what are their wants and their needs? Because those are usually 2 different things. What they want and what they need may be 2 separate things. And how do we get them to their ultimate goal? And what does that look like?
Well, it looks like JD did not like your answer so much, he decided to just get the heck out of here.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
I'll tag team onto that one. So one of the things that we do, and if you go, again, huge proponent of Google Docs and Google Sheets, all of our scripts are actually written in Google Sheets because of having artists and art teams in India and Brazil and Guatemala and wherever. We want them to be on a real-time document so that way if there's a change or something, they're not like, I didn't get the email and I have script revision 4.3.1b, not 4.3.1c. So for us, it's always whatever the thought is that comes into your head, right? Then capture it as soon as you can. It could be, like Steph said, setting. It could be character. It could be whatever. When we first started working together, we started a spreadsheet, and right off the bat, we had like 26 different story ideas. Not all of them were fleshed out, but it was just like, oh, there's this one thing, we have this one idea. Make another tab. We have this other thing, and we have this other idea. Some of them have literally turned into full graphic novels that we've released. Others are still sitting on the sheet. But if we didn't capture it when we had that very first initial thought, we would have probably lost it forever. So our big thing is always just capture whatever that thought is, and then you can kind of go from there. Did anybody not answer the question yet? Johnny, did you answer this question yet?
Waiting for Johnny and Ben, right?
All right, so I'm going to be JD. So Johnny, why don't, it's for you, Johnny. So Johnny, why don't you let us know what you think about this? What do you think?
My ideas are weird. It's like mental throw up, but it's just bleh, all at once.
Right.
I'm like, hey, I know what I'm going to do. And it happened recently with this horror short I'm about to film. And it was just like, all of a sudden, I was like, okay, this is what's wrong with this guy. This is what's going on. It's like a Tasmanian devil doing cocaine. So same with the comics. I have all these other stories, but like they all come out semi-formed, but I play connect the dots with them over the years. Matter of fact, there's even a limbo now in my series that's like a file cabinet for these called The Land of Abandoned and Forgotten Ideas of all these characters and designs that I've just kind of ignored even since high school, and they hate Frozen Dead. So like I've actually made these ideas interact. So yeah, it's weird. It depends on what I'm writing. With comics, I write different than when I'm actually writing horror. With comics, I just come up with the plot, and then I make up the rest as I go, because if I'm not surprised, nobody else is going to be.
Okay, cool.
It just flows.
All right. Ben, what do you say on this?
It all kind of starts the same place. It's in my head, and I'm just following a basic scenario, like a guy walks to the sink, and then, then a vampire comes up behind him out of nowhere, and the guy decides to pee in a bowl, and he blesses the pee in the bowl, and he throws it on the vampire, and the vampire melts. And I think, well, okay, that's kind of cool. Let's go with that. Anyway, that's usually how the process goes. I challenge myself to come up with something that's preposterous enough to be interesting. And
I like it. Listen, it's stale. So excuse me, it's sterile, not stale. It's sterile. So they won't catch an infection. They'll die right away, but they won't suffer. So
he's blessed as urine. So when it hits the vampire, he's gone. So yeah.
Look, I see it as for me, going back to the procrastination thing. Did I finish what it was on my plate already? Right, and then if I did, and I got room to work on something else, am I telling something different? What I'm putting together, like I was thinking of something a few weeks ago, and I'm running with it. I'm like, yeah, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be great. Oh my god, it was fucking done already. It was dusk till dawn, right? So I'm like, let me calm down. But then the third thing I ask myself is, what can I inject that is myself, that says, all right, this is a story that is coming from me, and this is something that I should be focusing on, or is it something that could go in the back burner? What's more important for me, to get out a book that is making money, or to get out a book that is continuing the story of something that I've already been developing for a while? Everybody has a different answer. And that's why we.
Jay, is this why in every issue you've got a crying person holding a football and a green shirt in the background?
Son of a gun. It's actually why a mail truck is always getting destroyed in the background. That's the key. That's the key. Hey, don't hate me because I'm a Jets fan. You know what I mean? Emerson Boozer lived in the building right next door to me growing up. So for everybody in the neighborhood was a Jet fan, right? And if everybody knows the Jets, Emerson Boozer was the running back when the only time the Jets won the Super Bowl. So that was
huge. Jay. We just feel sorry for you. That's really what it is. It's more of a pity thing. You know what I mean? No bad feelings.
Sorry about that, guys.
Like, poor guy, he's a Jets fan. That's got to be hard.
Hey guys, we thank you for coming out to the show tonight. We do have another guest that's joining us. His name is JD Calderon. JD, why don't you introduce yourself for the people that are just joining us? Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. JD.
I have a terrible computer system that I need to replace. Other than that, I have a wife with a fantastic computer system who's allowing me to take it over for at least the rest of the show. So, thank you.
Wow, you had to reboot and everything, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, I had to get off that. Yeah, I've been promising myself just buy a new one, but I just keep procrastinating. I keep procrastinating.
So that's some admirable rebooting, dude. I'm impressed.
I had a pertinent question for the night. It's relatable. I like that.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So, answer your own question, buddy.
damn it. What was the question? Oh, yes. Where do I begin? Right? Where do we even start? Typically character for myself. I typically start with the characters first. With especially something like the Oswald Chronicles, it's something where it started with him, and then I usually build out from there. It's between character and plot, right? So it's always, coming up with these crazy ideas, and then you're just like, okay, then how can I make it fun? How can I make it relatable? How can I make it personable? How can I make a real connection, right, between myself, the readers, and these characters, and just doing that sort of thing. So that's where I usually start. It's usually the characters, and then I build out from there. But like anything else, sometimes I do start with a title, right? You get that good title, you're like, oh, now what can I construct around that, right? And then you sit there and you start constructing around that title. So it just depends, right? Because it's like where's the mood strike you at that moment, because it's always a little weird, So yeah. So sometimes it just depends. Jay, did you answer the question? What did you answer?
I answered the question, bro.
Okay, I have to watch the rewind. Damn it, I gotta watch the
hosting. He did a great job. He brought energy that I definitely wasn't bringing. You know what I mean? He was like, he's got somebody finally from the Heat playing in the All-Star game, so he's excited. He's jazzed.
You're right.
Yeah.
So what is it? You're telling me I should get Matt to replace you?
No, I wasn't saying that. I was just there as an emergency. See, you got knocked off, so we're like, dude, we got to make sure we keep this going, man. And we just rolled with it. There's no way I can replace no Jay Rosario, man. Come on now.
No, you could. You could. Don't worry about it. Listen, this is not a high-paying gig. It's all right if you want it.
That's right. C's more than happy to take his spot any day.
My man, C. Oh man. All right. So my question is, since how we're talking about high-paying jobs, what is your primary source of revenue in your creative journey? Is it crowdfunding? Is it direct distribution? Is it another streaming platform sales? Is it outreach like at conventions and free comic book days or flea markets or what have you? What is the primary source of you making money in this or recouping expenses in this? Excuse me. Right.
I think we were up to Steph.
Mostly a mixture of crowdfunding, Kickstarter, and conventions, and a lot of tears. Yeah, a lot of tears. No, it's mainly we do a few conventions a year, more than a few at this point. I'm constantly traveling across the United States to go to mostly Southeast and Florida cons, but we try to run at least a few Kickstarter campaigns each year to offset the cost of the art and the printing and the shipping and all of that.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Johnny, what do you got?
I am just blessed with my loyal readers, the ones that actually buy each graphic novel. And I'm on my 11th graphic novel now, and I've only done one single issue. That was because it was a crossover with Dave Sim Cerebus. But I just tell them a new book's coming out, and they pay for printing and pre-orders. Like all my books normally sell out before they come out. And this time I actually asked them to dig deeper because I have celebrities letting me draw their likenesses. So I'm sending them all free books, and I'm making a larger print run than normal. So I said, hey, I hate to say this. Normally you spend $25 for my graphic novel, but if you give $100, I'll give you a free piece of Frozen Dead art for the past 24 years. They're like, okay. And within the last couple of days, I've already raised like $750 towards this. And I have other people waiting. So like, I'm just blessed. And the rest of it comes from selling merch. We do it all in house. My wife makes our shirts, our necklaces and cups and whatnot. So other than that, I just, whatever I got to cover with my regular job, I work in the third largest boiler in the state of Pennsylvania, and that takes care of the rest basically. So I don't suffer. I don't make a lot, but there's always a little bit of profit margin. And again, I do it mainly just to entertain, because when I had no money, I still read comics. I'd sit in the library for hours just reading graphic novels to keep myself sane. So I always want to give what I can. This gift that we have bottom line, yes, we need money to produce it, but when we can, give what you can, because they don't need to be treated like we're up here. You know what I mean? It's the readers. Without an audience, what we do doesn't mean anything. But I got off topic. But yeah, basically my readers, I say, hey, give me $100. He said, okay. So
I need some of those readers.
Yeah.
I can use some of those.
Give me $100.
I had 3 of them today.
Shit.
Nice.
Very good. Matt, where you at on that, bud?
So first thing, Johnny, man, I love your thought process, your enthusiasm. It's like Johnny is his own personal crowdfunding site. You know what I'm saying? Because seriously, instead of like us going on to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or whatever it may be, and going out to our fans there, you're just contacting them directly. You're like, dude, we got something else coming out. You want to get in on it? Here's level 1. Here's the higher level if you want to get a piece of art. I respect that, man. That's totally cool. So like Steph was saying, one of the things we're trying to do when it comes to income is making sure that the shows that we do make sense, because and we're actually going to be doing a blog, probably going to come out tomorrow or Tuesday. It's going to be on our Substack site talking about this, because somebody put a question up saying, have any of you ever rented a table at a convention to sell your comics? If so, what was your experience? And I'm like, my first thought was, this guy's never done this before, and so he's going to walk into a minefield if he doesn't do this right. And we try to always look at what's the overall expense of the show: travel, table, food, lodging, all that. And then what is the potential expectation for us to sell, even if we have our best potential sales there. Like MegaCon just happened here 2 weeks ago. And just the parking for MegaCon was insane. It was like beyond New York prices. It was $40 a day. It was $40 a day pre-sale if you were a vendor to park at MegaCon. So most people were paying $50 a day. So we're like, if you aren't going to be a guest, and MegaCon had very few guests as a percentage. The show was huge. It was like 190,000 people there. It was like on the level of NYCC and San Diego Comic-Con with the size that it was this year. But if you were paying $600 or $700 for a table and $200 just to park your car, and then you had to get lodging and food and everything else that was going to go along with it, plus the cost of reprinting the merch that you sold, I can't see how we would have broken even. So we didn't do that show, but we might go do a different show where we're a guest at it, or it's a smaller show with a more comics focused, or even something where, Johnny, we do metal music as well. So we probably have some similar thoughts going on there. We have albums and we've got other things we do. Is the crowd there going to come and support us instead of the $100 or $200 signature and selfie packages from the celebs? We always try to make sure we're looking for that right show.
Right, let me, Matt. Let me ask you, MegaCon specifically. You said it was $600. Is that for what? A 6x8 interior or 10x10? What's up?
So I'm pretty sure, because I didn't go this year, but I would know when we did and when we looked at the prices. I'm pretty sure an Artist Alley table for 4 days was like $600 or $700.
Oh, Artist Alley. Okay.
Yeah, Artist Alley. So I know if you're talking about getting a booth, it was definitely $1,000 or more. The prices were on par with what you would pay going to New York Comic Con.
So New York Comic Con for an interior booth this year was for a corner booth this year with 3 badges was about $1,600.
And that's for a booth. That's not on the Artist Alley floor. That's up on the main floor, right?
That's up on the main floor. It was a 6x8 space, and that was a corner spot. So you want to get lower for an interior in the small press area. Right. If you're going to be a regular exhibitor, it's a 10x10 space, and you're going to be paying a lot more. And then especially in the section that you're in. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the New York Comic Con space. But you've got 10x10s, which can go for $3,300, or you got 10x10s that can go for $2,600, right? But you need to have the merch to do that, right? There is a certain level of experience you need to be able to turn around at a convention. Not everybody can come out a financial winner at a con. So what kind of other goals are they setting if they're going to be at the con is another thing they got to think of. How many people did they sign up for the newsletter, right? What type of network achievements have they accomplished, right? Did they sign up new artists to work with? Did they find new places to promote their books at? Those are other goals that can be achieved at cons besides financial wins, which they might not offset the price, but it may not hurt your ego as much knowing that you spent money to achieve those other things. We're going, Ben. I'm sorry, we went off track with the question, but what's your primary source of generating revenue? But
Well, my son Jake and I have been putting comics out together since 2007. The first 10 years, it was robbing Peter to pay Paul. We made the conventions just basically on fumes. Around 2017, we started to make some money from the Kickstarters, and that's basically what carries us through to the next one. We make enough money on the Kickstarters to get, and if there's any deficiency in the art costs, then I'll pay it out of my own pocket. But I have yet to make a profit, but at least I'm paying for most of the work. So that's
all right.
Yes.
Mike, where you at, brother?
It's kind of a two-pronged attack. I do the Kickstarters. I do like one a year for a finished graphic novel, and that kind of pays for the book and gets me the copies I need to get through the year at the conventions. And then I go to the cons. My bread and butter is really like the small to medium size cons. Like I can do well at a big show, but I have to work really hard because there's just so much competition, and everyone's, like you said, Steph, everyone's running in to pay the celebrities and the big name artists, and they're not coming to the little artists. So when I go to these kind of smaller regional shows where people are starved for good comics and something new, and I'm a real salesman at shows. Like I don't sit there and let people come to me. Like I get them to the table one way or the other. And then once I have them, I can often convert them. So that's really, I can have a pretty great weekend at like a 2-day show in Rochester or something like that. That works pretty well for me.
Oh, you're up here? You're on the East Coast? You're in New
I'm
York?
up in New York. Yep. I mean, Rochester's a few hours for me, but I'm in up outside of Albany.
Oh, okay. All right. You're in Massachusetts. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Calderon, what's your number one place to get your greenback?
But Mike, I have to say, I've been to Albany.
Yeah.
And it's a very creepy city. When I was there, I could have sworn there was a church on every corner.
I mean, yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, and I'm like, what kind of evil is being held underneath that place that it requires a church at every corner of the place for there to be there?
That's fair. Yeah, that's why I live outside of Albany. I mean, we don't go to downtown Albany all that often. We live more in the suburb area, so it's not so bad over here. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It freaked me out a little bit. I was like, what the hell? So, yeah. So my primary source of income is Kickstarter. Yeah.
Okay.
Crowdfunding at the moment. And that's pretty much it. I mean, sometimes we get some online sales, but Kickstarter is the primary breadwinner. And I mean, we've been doing all right with it, but now it's just time to grow and try to, add to that. Because like I said, it's not a thing of moving away, because I don't even think that's intelligent on any level. It's just like, just add to it, just keep growing. And I think that's the next phase, is just to try to keep growing. But the primary breadwinner is definitely, definitely Kickstarter. Because Jay and I, we get into the whole thing about cons, and I've done boatloads of shows. It's just that they've gotten really expensive. Mm-hmm. And listen, if I can do a campaign in my pajamas and generate as much money as I'm going to make, at a show, why not stick to my pajamas?
I got you.
I mean, you can wear pajamas to a convention. Just saying, there's no rules against it.
Well, that's true. I've seen people do it. Yes.
Yeah.
They call it cosplay.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. And the greatest thing about it is we actually create these things so we can make our own character. We can cosplay as our own characters, wearing pajamas at the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No. For me, I'm going to go with Mike. I got the two-pronged attack, right? The crowdfunding is where I'm recouping my expenses, printing out my product. And, we're selling that out through the course of the year at conventions. Some you win, some you lose, right? I bombed at AwesomeCon in DC. It was just like, right? But we flipped it around in New York Comic Con. I know not everyone can do that. New York Comic Con is different for me because that is home field advantage. We're not paying for lodging. We're not paying for travel. So what I am doing, though, I'm still spending that money to pay for extra passes to bring a bigger team to the convention. We got a corner spot. Everybody knows how to operate with each other. New York Comic Con is my bread and butter convention, right? That's my year end. That is my Super Bowl. We do very well there, and it goes to produce, it raises the money for us. The war chest fills that war chest for us to make a couple books that year. And on top of that, those other goals, I'm constantly meeting people who are looking for work at New York Comic Con, more so than the other smaller conventions. That's going to open up opportunities for me to have working relationships with people to just do pinups, right? To do maybe short stories, to maybe, hey, listen, you want to come work for somebody doing this? That happens at a bigger con. And I don't know about you folks, but when I see somebody who's willing to travel on a 12-hour flight from out of the country to come here to look for work, that means they're invested. That means they're going to put together product for you. Mm-hmm. So that's somebody I want to work with. And then New York Comic Con has also been where I've generated the most exposure. I've been on Fox, BET, CBS, NBC, and a number of news sites because of New York Comic Con. I've never gotten that at any other convention. I've done MegaCon, right? We did Awesome Con. I've done C2E2, and I don't get those opportunities. And it's not like I'm out there fishing for it. If they just happen to come across, and we're like, "Hey, what's up?" And
if you stop committing so many crimes at the show, you wouldn't be getting videoed that much.
Listen, public indecency does not count as a crime anymore, bro. Okay,
not the sign of respect you think it is, sir.
If you're mooning people but you leave your underwears on, it's not a sexual, deviant crime. So
gotta make that difference.
Plus the amount of information I get at New York Comic Con, it's as much a trade show where there's insider talks that I'm going to get either firsthand or secondhand information from that I'm not going to get at other conventions. So I'm lucky with that. One of the reasons why I don't want to leave the state. I save so much money in that one weekend out of the fucking year. Yeah.
You're Super Bowl, Jay, because you're a Jets fan. So
son of a gun.
I'm sorry.
I didn't even say it. I didn't even say it this time. So thank you. I appreciate the tag team action.
It was right. You set it up. I had to knock it down.
You're the one. Who was it? Was it you or was it Johnny that said they were a Lions fan?
I'm the Lions fan.
You're the Lions fan. Mike, if you say you're a Patriots fan.
No, I hate the Patriots. But I'm a Niners fan. So
you're a Niners fan.
Yeah, we get the Super Bowl and then lose now. That's our thing. So it's,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's become our new.
No,
it's great.
You
awesome.
grew up a Montana fan.
Feels awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully you grew up that Montana young fan. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you on that.
Same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm still not complaining. We had the best season of my life.
Yeah, it was. You guys did awesome.
Yeah, dude,
it's still a win. They won, in my opinion. It's awesome.
Yeah, Ben, what are you a fan of?
I guess I'll have to say the Cowboys because logistically, I mean, I don't really follow it that much, but if you press me at a party, I'll go, yeah, Cowboys. So
okay. Hey, Calderon, Calderon's favorite football team. They
don't exist.
Yeah. They don't exist. He's on the Atlanta Braves. That's my favorite football team.
I'm a UFC fan. If someone's not getting kicked in the head, I'm not showing up. All right. That's it.
My dad was a big fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think it's because they started in Dallas and moved out there.
They did.
Yeah. The Chiefs started in
the original Dallas Texans.
The original Texans. Yes.
All right. This is starting to go a little bit too far off the rails. It's getting a little scattered, so we're going to talk about scattered comics, okay?
I like that
segue. That's why JD is the host. JD is the host.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
And look at that profile pic, Ben. You looking sharp there, kid.
Yeah, that's actually my headshots. I'm a film actor too, and so I just brought them up. I even had my film gallery up there for my agent, and these are my comics. The most recent one is the Night Owl comic. We haven't put it up. Oh yeah, we did right there.
Yeah, you got one there.
Right there. Night Owl 2-in-1. It was probably our best Night Owl issue to date. We're going back to Blonde Assassin and horror stuff, like our new title, Gin Stalkers, which is basically what if the Catholic Church lost its ability to police the supernatural. So anyway, lots of cool stuff. And then some of these are, we have a monthly Night Owl web comic, which is either a gag like this riff on the FF cover where the human fart is kidnapping the member and trying to get her to a pile of blankets so he can make a Dutch oven, and they're trying to stop him before he can do that. So, fun stuff. We're Apocalypse Now. We put Night Owl through all of the Apocalypse Now, to get chocolate. He's a kid. He's 12-year-old superhero. So, and so on and so forth. So,
all right, nice. I mean, so so you just finished Night Owl. Now, this is the first issue. When you expect? Are you planning on doing a second issue? What are you looking as far as
actually, we did a two of a 3-parter, and this one at the very end, and we're gonna come back with that, and then another original Night Owl thing, and then kind of finish it off that way. We want to get these 3 because they're probably the most important series. It kind of traces the wholeness of. It's kind of like the first 3 Spider-Man movies Marvel just recently came out with. It's like the last one kind of finishes up the origin. You don't realize it to the last minute. So we're doing that with Night Owl, and then we're getting a lot of nice response on the 1-page Night Owl webcomic we give out for free. Although I guess being free is gives people more of a license to read it. So, but we're going back to the racy blonde assassin stuff, because that is what really pays the bills.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, she's a blonde assassin. What do you want?
Yeah, and I like to Apollo and the Artemis Kill Crew is actually our like Justice League of all large-breasted, beautiful women fighting and killing people for the god Apollo. So we hope that'll sell well. So
nice. Yeah, no, listen, you is Jason involved?
Yeah, Jason's always involved.
So you guys are gonna do great.
Yeah, if he's not directly doing the art, he's coordinating the artist for it. So he's always involved in one step or another. I wouldn't want to do it without him, to be honest with you.
All right, sounds good, man. All right, I mean, looking forward to. When do you expect your next campaign to launch?
Hopefully in the next 2.5 months. Sooner if we can do it, but it takes as long as it takes. But but we're hoping also to kind of see in the next. I don't know how long it's going to take to write out this economy thing, because we want to kind of wait in when the money's flowing a little better. So, right. But if it doesn't, we'll go in anyway. But like I said, with the Kill Crew, Artemis Kill Crew thing, we're hoping that'll get a lot of buzz going. So,
all right, cool. Because you don't want to wait too long, because you can wait to the point that nothing happens.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'll be watching everyone closely.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Just give me a second.
He blew the segue.
I did blow the segue. But here's the thing, though. If I had an opportunity to slash you, I would. All right.
I think I know where you're. Well, that's my then.
Class from Guns N' Roses says. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So this is my new campaign, which is launching next Tuesday, the 27th, February 27th. It's an 8-bit slasher. It's a 48-page square-bound one-shot graphic novel, complete story start to finish. It is a horror video games mashup with a dose of comedy, because I can't write things seriously, so I just make all my books comedies. Like I said earlier, so it's about a video game slasher who gets sucked into the real world and brings a bunch of the video game elements into the real world with him. So not only do these kids have to survive a slasher trying to kill them, but then they have to deal with things like boss battles and henchmen and weird doorways appearing to places they shouldn't be able to get to and stuff like that. So it's really basically my love of slasher films and my old school love of video games and mashing those two things up together. And also, when I go to conventions, if I had a nickel for every person who was like, "Yeah, I'm only into horror," I wouldn't have to write comics anymore. So I figured, why not write a horror comic? And then also did a sell to those people who don't want to read my superhero comics. So 8-bit slasher, launching in about a week.
All right, cool. Now, are you going to have your other books available on the same campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got 2 previous graphic novels, Uncaped and Red, White, and Broke. And there's definitely, you can buy them as add-ons. There's some like kind of collector's bundles where you can get like the whole, all 3 books in one. We've got one, like a real collector's one with some of the all limited covers and stuff like that. So it's got a little bit of everything for everyone. So returning people can just get the new one, and new readers can get their pick of all of our books.
Cool. Now, you said it's a 48-issue graphic novel, so it's a one and done. But
Yep.
Are you looking to maybe someday revisit?
Yeah, if I can keep my attention focused on one thing long enough, So I already have like a sequel plan for Uncaped, which is my last book. I already have an idea for how I would continue this one as well. But then I also have other ideas for other stories that are independent. So it's like at a certain point, I don't just want to have 20 different graphic novels that are all just completely their own things, to a little too maybe scattered, but I get a lot of ideas. So I think it's kind of like I'll do a few different stories to kind of appeal to different audiences, and then I'll sort of come back and do another like 48-page one shot. I did my first one as a 4-issue miniseries, and by the time I was done with 4 issues, I was like, never again will I do 4 issues. Like I don't have the patience. My ADHD is too rampant. So now I just do it. It's a one shot. I get it done. It's finished. It can put it in people's hands, and they don't have to worry about a cliffhanger or anything like that. And then that way, if I want to come back to it, I can, but I'm not tied down to it. So that's been working really well for me. That's what I'm sticking with moving forward.
Nice. All right, cool. Now, how many days is the campaign?
It's a 30-day campaign. Yeah.
30-day campaign.
Yeah,
okay,
that usually goes pretty well for me. So.
All right, cool. Have you, because I've been, and I know Jay's and some other people have been, playing around with shorter campaigns. Have you considered it? Have you tried it?
No, I haven't. I mean, I've seen people do that. I haven't thought too much about it, only just because that's what I've done with I've done 6 or 7 previous campaigns. They've always been 30 days. That's always worked. So it sort of seems like why try to fix what's not broken, but it's something to look at. I mean, we'll see how this one goes, I guess. And if I feel like the next one needs to be shorter, maybe I'll try and change it up a little bit.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I do. I'm moving into that area because I'm doing like 6 to 8 campaigns a year.
Right. Yeah.
So, I have a lot of books to put out. So I'm just like, okay, but I got to try to get them all in one year, in one calendar year. So, yeah. Right. So sometimes it gets a little crazy. All right. So we have Heirs of Isildur.
Look at that.
Cool.
Nice. Now, do you guys want me to play the video? Matt? Steph?
Boom. I know that campaign.
I would say the video is real short. I think Matt might be having some connection issues. I'm gonna pull rank here and say go ahead and play because it's like 15 seconds, so it'll be okay.
Oh, okay.
And I think.
All right. And I'm on Daphne's computer, so this is gonna work. Oh,
that's it.
That's it. Short and sweet.
Short but sweet.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. I could take. That's a lesson learned. Thank you. I like that.
Not all of our videos have been that way. That's new for us.
No, yeah, we've all been there. So
yeah.
All right. So Steph, what are we looking?
But
oh, sorry, man.
No, I'm here. The music in there. The reason why it's 15 seconds long is because that is a part of it's a teaser for the new metal song that's part of this campaign. By the end of the campaign, we'll have that video be a little bit longer, and you'll have a little bit more of the song that's going to come out with the campaign.
Okay, cool. Nice. All right.
So can you hear me now after my little JD style microphone destruction there?
Yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
All right.
These live streams always know how to even the playing field, don't they?
So this is for Heirs of Isildur, the Perilous Prospects, books 1 through 3. We've done a bunch of other offshoots, Tales from Nocturnia's Medieval Fantasy, I Am Keto. This is finally getting back to the main series. In this one, the main character, Michael Isildur, has returned from his supernatural sabbatical. And is it going to be enough to turn the tide of the apocalyptic events happening in Shadow's Haven? So basically, for the entire Perilous Prospect story arc, Michael Lanning has been in a coma, and he's basically been a prop in the corner. And what makes that significant is he had a relationship with a bunch of different people. And when this apocalyptic event happened and he was in a coma, all these people had to figure out how to work together for their own survival, with him being the only link point between them all. And they all came from very, very, very different backgrounds, very different situations going on in their own existences. So in this campaign, we've got 4 covers. We went the complete opposite of JD Rosario, where there's 4 covers, and you've got regular covers and you got metal covers. There's t-shirts, guitar picks, socks. We're well known for doing socks, things like that. If you look at our add-ons right there, we have a lot of things from our previous campaigns. If somebody's skippy and they're like, man, I want metal covers and I want every metal cover you've ever done, there's a tier with 18 different metal covers. Wow. We also had somebody ask us the other day, they're like, hey, we know you have a lot of titles and offshoots and all that. Can you give us a reading order so that if somebody's like, man, I want to get in, but I only want the Perilous Prospects. What do I need? I want to read everything that's Heirs of Isildur based, but the direct line. You got that. I want to read Perilous Prospects, but you have a character that's an origin story title in there. I am Keto. Where does this fit into the equation? So we tried to make sure that there was enough tiers that if somebody really wanted something, they could go and find that tier for them. And we try to give explanation over here in the story as well.
Cool. Now, this is issue
3 of the Perilous Prospects story arc. There was some Heirs of Isildur stuff before this. There was an arc called The Crossroads Conundrum. Then there was a bridge issue called Nightmare Scenario. But the way we designed the Perilous Prospects was, if, say, somebody on this stream was like, hey, this sounds pretty cool, I want to pick this up, but that sounds like a lot of reading to have to do to go all the way back to some other arc. You can pick this up at the Perilous Prospects Book 1 and be perfectly fine. Like Mike said, he does his stuff perfect bound. That's exactly what we do. Everything's got a spine on it. So the first book was 48 pages. The second one was 56. This one is going to be 44. And then who knows how long the next one's going to be. But the next one's going to be pretty long and pretty badass to wrap up a lot of these things. But we try to make sure there's meat on that bone, so that way when you get it, you've got a badass collectible. You've got great cover art. This one we've got a really cool homage. We always do homage covers. First issue we did Metalocalypse Death Clock. Second issue we did Stranger Things. This one we did Nightmare Before Christmas. So we take our characters and put them into those scenarios. Right there, as you just scroll past, we've got a bunch of music videos that go along with our different albums. So there's like 4 different music videos that are there. All the songs tie back into the series to try and help you get more character origin stories and a little bit extra clarity on what the motivations were behind certain characters by looking at the lyrics. You don't need the music to enjoy the comics. You don't need the comics to enjoy the music, but you put them together and you get a totally different experience.
Nice. Now, out of curiosity, like in the Heirs of Isildur universe, right? Like, like how many pages because you guys have been doing it for a minute. So how many pages do you guys have done? Like,
let's see here. So I could actually rattle off the page counts right off the top of my head. So the first book, Crossroads Conundrum, started off as an ebook that turned into an illustrated novel. So it's not really comic pages all the way through, but that's 268 pages for that arc in trade paperback form. Nightmare Scenario was 28 pages. You've got about 140 pages so far for the Perilous Prospects. Then Tales from Nocturnia currently is 152 pages in that graphic novel, or that trade paperback. And then I Am Keto was its own small graphic novel that was 80 pages. So you're talking 600-700 pages there or something like that. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Very nice.
We are currently 5 backers away from our first backer goal incentive. If we get to 100, we've got a PDF we're going to be giving everybody, and we can tell you that PDF is one that's never been in a Kickstarter campaign before ever. There's a lot of PDFs. Like we give our PDF to people to give away all the time, but you might see it in 10, 12, 20 different campaigns. The PDF that you're going to get at 100 is one that has never been available before. So we know that if you back Heirs of Isildur, the Perilous Prospects, you know you're going to get another book that's going to be super fun that you're going to get for no extra charge just because we reached that 100 backer goal. and we're $731 from the initial funding level, which is $3,500. We obviously hope we can get far past that. We've got a lot of stretch goals and things that set up past there. But the way the economy is, we're going to be glad to just get to that minimum funding level and then see where we go from there.
All right, cool.
Matt, that man character looks kind of familiar, but I can't place it. Like,
So,
in the long hair. Does he wear a heat hat at any point in the comic?
I should. So here's the funny thing: when you guys were talking about you could wear pajamas and draw yourself into the comic, this thing, the main character Michael Lanning wasn't really supposed to look like me as much as he does. Right. I made a cosplay. I gave it to the very first artist. I said, "This is what I want the character to look like," and he took that as, "You want this character to look exactly like you." And when he gave me the first drawing back, I'm like, you know what? My life is going to be super simple at conventions for the rest of my life, because all I have to do is just dress up the way I would normally dress up. I've got a whole rack of steampunk stuff and jackets and top hats, so I just go, and it makes it really easy to cosplay as somebody in the titles because of that very first artist. So thank you, Blake, back in the day for doing that.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, cool. That is really cool.
And with that, I do have to jump off, guys. I'm on the West Coast, so it's like dinner time, that type of thing. But thank you, JD, for having us on. I appreciate it. Matt's going to stick around. I'm going to get going, but good luck to everybody that has campaigns going on, and I look forward to being on again sometime soon, hopefully.
Steph, I follow you on Facebook. It's really nice to see you in person.
Yeah, I know. It's nice to see all of you guys and talk shop for a little while. So I appreciate it, as always. Right. Thank you guys so much.
You're always welcome, Steph. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, cool. I'm going to pull up, because Johnny, you didn't share out a...
All I was trying to do is give you the random insanity page, and nothing came up.
Gotcha. Well, I pulled up your Facebook page, your Random Insanity Productions.
And that has everything. That has Frozen Dead, all 24 years. It has my Horror Adorables line, which, I got tired of. When you do a free comic all year round and you only sell maybe a book a year, you got to find ways to supplement. So I started the Horror Adorables line, and it blew up. So
nice.
Now I've been talking to people from Troma because they like my Toxic Avenger, and a lot of the guests that are in my new graphic novel are people that I drew as Horror Adorables first, and they loved it so much we became friends. I told JD earlier, Beatrice Bupley, who played Amanda Kruger in Nightmare on Elm Street 5, did the foreword for this book.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah.
Johnny, do you go to any the horror conventions and things like that?
I really wish I could go to more because I crossed the boundary. But again, I have such principles where I feel, and I don't want this to sound shallow, but you guys are the same way. I feel after 24 years and all the things that I've done and rubbed elbows, I don't want to pay for a table someplace. I do a mainly free comic. I was just in the unofficial sequel to Halloween 3 this past October. I've done one-shots with ElfQuest, and I've done stuff with Too Much Coffee Man from Shannon Wheeler. And it's not that I'm too big for my britches. It's just I wasn't some guest at a con because I wasn't in a 1970s slasher flick for 5 seconds. They want to charge me a shitload of money plus travel and expenses. I flip my mouth. That's why in April the 13th and 14th, I'm going to the second Great Media Comic Con in Media PA because they treated me like a guest this last time. So I'll travel three hours and buy a hotel as long as they treat me, like I paid my dues.
Johnny, it's a trip you bring up Halloween 3 because there's a couple different. Florida's really big for horror conventions, and there's one chain down here called Spookala, and I'm the MC and I do all the interviews, all the onstage interviews at the Spookala shows. And one of them that I did was the 42-year reunion of the Halloween 3 cast, and it was incredible. I did this last year, and they got up and were singing the theme song from the Halloween store and all that. They did all kinds of collectibles, show convention collectibles from Halloween 3. It was a fun time. It was a fun time. So that's interesting that you bring that up.
Well, see, the third channel by Michelle Lynn Blasky, it's on YouTube for you to watch. It had one of the actors from Halloween 3, the boy who had the pumpkin mask that
okay.
fall off, and one of the composers from Sleepaway Camp was involved. I only had a blink and you'll miss it add-on at the end. I was in a commercial and I got a producer credit because again, I was trying to promote it for her. But it was like a last minute thing. I think I'm even more proud that I did a commercial for Troma Now this year. So I got Lloyd Kaufman in my comic. I got Patty
That's
Bones
awesome.
with Frankenhooker. You know, I got Paul Taylor from Hellraiser Judgment in it, and Butch Patrick from the Munsters, all letting me draw them at a convention in my comic. See, I have to make my own convention. I have to draw myself in it. But I would love to do conventions, but they got to be more affordable for us independent people. And especially, again, when you do it mainly as a charity for your readers all year round. With Horror Adorables, they try to say, oh, you're a vendor. No, it's my art. It's my stuff. So
Right. No, that's really cool, man. I mean, you you said you put out trade paperbacks, right?
yeah, this
Now-
is my 11th graphic novel since 2015.
Gotcha. Now, where can people find them?
They're all sold out. They sell out this normally within the first year. At first, it took a little bit longer, but now it's normally everybody buys one before I even put them out. So I only publish on demand however many copies I need.
Mm.
I do
Gotcha.
want to get bigger. I'm starting to try to find a way to put it up digitally now so I can reprint these other volumes because I do have a lot of newer readers. In fact, for the last 2 years, I've been posting reruns in my one private group, Tomb of the Frozen Dead. I started all the way back at the beginning, moving forward, which was buying me time to work on other things. But for the 24th year anniversary, I had to put out a new book. So this book it's part collecting series that already ran online, but this horror convention story is all brand new.
Gotcha. That's cool. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you might want to look into reprinting a lot of that old stuff because that back catalog can generate some revenue for you.
Oh yeah, big time.
Mhm.
And that's the other problem is I've always been so focused on moving forward because I've had so much content. The story just keeps going and going and going and going and going.
Yeah, but like you said, you got new readers, and they could buy
Right.
they're gonna want the older stuff.
Exactly. I am thinking about doing an omnibus at some point because I think that'd be the way to go. I bought single issues off and on growing up, but I went full on graphic novels for the last decade because it's so much more affordable for readers to just buy a $20 book that has an entire story. And the same with us publishing. It's in my opinion, the one single issue I did cost almost more than a much larger graphic novel did.
Right. Yeah. POD will do that to you.
Yeah.
But that one I had to do because it was Cerebus. It was a special thing. And then it got collected in one of the graphic novels anyway. So
No, that's cool. So I mean, how was that working? Did you contact Dave?
yeah, I called Dave and then he gave me a call back a half an hour later. We recently talked again because he had done a video for his Moment of Cerebus blog on YouTube about Frozen Dead, as well as Colin Upton, another independent artist. But I wanted to use that footage for a 2-hour documentary I just made about the series. And he was like, he called me back again. He's like, yeah, no problem. So yeah, I know a lot of people have the little taboo surrounding him, but he's always been really cool to me.
Hey, listen, man. I mean, it's a weird business. A lot of weird people. What are you gonna do?
Now that Kickstarter, when I did it, I'll call it a Kickstarter, but when I did that with my fans, anybody who pre-ordered for that book, Dave had me send their books to Canada, and then he paid to send them back signed by both of us.
Oh wow.
So, and then this was from Shannon Wheeler. This was a pinup in my very first graphic novel he did for me, and we still talk. Too Much Coffee Man years earlier started in the same newspaper as Frozen Dead, so that's how we started talking online. So the internet really is Frozen Dead's bread and butter.
Cool. That's really cool. No, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's a bunch of the merchandise my wife makes of our stuff.
That's really nice. She does a really good job of the graphic design.
I draw it and she puts it on.
No, she does a good job. No, that's cool. So I mean, when is your next book dropping?
I am finishing it this week. I took off work to finish it, so as soon as I'm done, it's going to print. And I'm
Wow.
not releasing it until the Great Media Comic Con to make it special. And a few people there are actually in the book as well. So people can actually go around. Frank Percy, who is a Punisher artist for Marvel, is doing a pinup for this book. I met him. He's one of the people down there. And then
Cool.
Dad Bennett Geek Den, one of the hosts from that podcast, Craig, who became close to me, he's going to be at that con. James Stokes, who played Jason in the underground film Night of the Beast, and he was a paramedic in one of the episodes of Stranger Things. He's one that goes down there. I mean, I cannot wait. Claudia Wells from Back to the Future is going to be there. The 12th, they're showing Back to the Future in the theater, and then she's there the 13th and 14th. So I'm not above reusing stuff that I've done in the past. So years ago, I had done a Back to the Future joke. It says, well, this gag's only about 30 some years too late. But because the book is getting released at this con, that's the cover of the new book.
Nice.
Oh,
You
cool.
got to tie things in. You know, I may do a lot of stuff for free, but I know how to sell too.
Like you said, man, you gotta supplement it somehow.
So, Matt, let me ask you a question, buddy. You said that you are one of the hosts of Spookala.
Yes.
When's that coming up?
So the next Spookala Festival is first weekend in April. I haven't got all the information. They just bring me in to do the shows, but I do know that I'm going to have another original OG Scream panel. The first one we did was ridiculous because they broke the record for the largest gathering of Ghostface with the original Ghostface, Lee Waddell. There was like a stupid number of people there in Ghostface masks. There's going to be a Scream 6 panel. Pretty sure there's going to be a Killer Clowns from Outer Space reunion panel.
Nice.
And then also some of the secondary characters from Stranger Things are going to be there as well. Those are the ones that I'm pretty sure are going to actually be on the stage this time that I know of. But that's in Tampa at the Florida State Fairgrounds.
Tampa, Florida State Fairgrounds. Okay. And that runs 2 times a year?
Right now we're in 2 times a year. They'll do like little smaller things. Like there's a pop-up that they're doing in a couple of weeks. Just a 1-day like outdoor market. But yeah, normally it's like 2 times a year they're running.
Let me know if there's still any more tables left. For
I'll let you know. I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's one of the things I do with my conventions. I try to do cons where I got family that I can stay at, saving lodging, right? Cost effectiveness. The drive is a little too far. It's a 20-hour drive from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it. It's not that big a deal.
It's only about 20 minutes from the airport.
There we go. There we go. I'm with that. All right.
All right. I just wanted to put this up real quick. This is my upcoming campaign for the Oswald Chronicles. It broke free and couldn't read. This I am actually fulfilling for my last campaign over the weekend, this weekend. So hopefully that'll ship out tomorrow, Tuesday. And I will be launching this one more likely than not on Friday. So just to let everybody know, there's a pre-launch, so you can sign up for it. First 45 physical backers will get some extra goodies. And that's pretty much for that.
Wait, this Friday you're going to be launching?
Yes, sir.
God damn, son.
Dude, no time to waste, bro. When I say I got content, I have content. I'm not joking. Because this is the first trade of 4 trades that I'm putting out this year.
Wow.
And between those trades is going to be individual books.
It always feels weird when you or Daphne don't have a Kickstarter running at a specific time. I feel like Kickstarter has to be broken if one or both of you don't have a Kickstarter go on at the same time, because it's like, I think you're always on, man. There's always Tall Tales or Oswald Chronicles or Egoraven or something like that. I'm like, you guys got it happening, man. You guys are drawing fools up in there.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Like I said, I've been doing it a long time. So it's, the back stock is there. We just got to keep putting it out,
So your trade paperback, how many issues are going to be in this trade paperback that you just talked about, and how many issues does that cover?
It's 4 issues in the one book. It's about 120 pages. No, yes, 120 pages. And it was originally based on a prose story. So I'm putting in the prose story in the back of the book. So you're going to get the original, you're going to get the comic and the prose story in the back. So you can read them both.
Cool. So what you're saying is if somebody has already been a a religious backer of your products and they've gotten all 4 issues that are going in there, there's still some reason for them to go back there because they're going to get additional content that they've never been able to get before. Boom. That's why you want to go up there and get this trade paperback from JD Calderon. Boom. Follow it. Be ready on Friday to back that noise.
I know who I'm hiring as a pitchman.
Seriously.
Yeah, you did a better job than he did, kid. Yeah, seriously. You can't sell this shit like that.
That's right.
Yo, one of his streams, actually, it was the last year 49ers playoff game. The one
Against the Eagles?
The one that they lost.
Against the Eagles last year? Let's not talk about that.
So I'm sorry, but that night, I remember because I was watching the game.
Mike has PTSDs. Come on,
still have it, yeah.
But we had an intervention because this guy wasn't. We had to like dig at him to pitch his own shit. You know?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Come on, man! It was pulling teeth, and it's like you should know how to do this. You should know how to do this.
Well, but hey, listen. So, Johnny, I think you know this. There's a phrase in the music world, and I try to live my life by it. And the music world pitch is people want to hear about a band, not from a band. Meaning, they want to hear somebody else pitch your stuff because, like, I'm not getting a financial kickback that anybody knows of from propping up JD. But JD is always going to be like, if he's pitching his own stuff, he's going to be like, my stuff is awesome. It's the best stuff out there. Everybody should say that about their own. But if you have somebody else pitch it, it might have a little more weight. So that's why I got no problem with going and pitching great art like JD has out there in that book, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right.
I appreciate you.
That's one of the keys of marketing, right? If you can have somebody advocate for your book, it carries a lot more weight than you speaking about it yourself.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen. I got a question for you guys. We're back to the questions. All right.
Okay.
Here's one. Here's what is gonna hurt us all. Where do you feel you need to improve?
Is everything an answer? Can I just say everything?
I think Johnny was up, right?
Yeah.
Sure. I probably need to improve not shit talking conventions because I really do want to go to them.
That's something.
I'm just honest. I don't fucking mince my words, man. They're called comic conventions. I don't need fucking artist Ollie. We fucking make comics. You know what I mean? One of us could be the next coming Kirby or whoever. It's just I just want to entertain, but keep my foot out of my mouth. But that ain't gonna happen. So.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Ben.
I think I need to work on my all-around organization because we got more titles coming up and more Kickstarters, and we really need to get them out sooner and tighter publication periods. The problem is when I come out with one of them, I pretty much invest everything into that, and doing them simultaneously is going to take a little bit of trickiness. But I guess if I get it organized well and pay attention to what you guys are doing a little more, maybe I can pick up some tricks.
All right, cool. This is Grant. What's up, Grant? And then it says, "What's up, Jay?"
Lenny, what's up, brother?
So Mike, what do you feel you need? Where's this space for improvement?
Yeah, I think I lucked into finding an artist who's both a really good artist, but also a very visual guy. And I'm a writer, and I'm a dialogue-based writer. So when I write my scripts, I tend to write out a lot of the dialogue, and then I give very minimal descriptions. Well, we've worked together on several books now, and it's gotten to the point where like I barely have to tell him anything for him to draw exactly what I want. So sometimes I won't even send him a finished script. I'll just be like, "Here's the first 20 pages. Go to it." And then he'll be on like page 19 and he's like, "Hey, I need the rest of the script." And I'm like, "Oh, I should write that." And then I'll bang out like 10 more pages, which I know, like Matt, hearing you guys talk about your spreadsheets and everything, I probably just gave you anxiety, but it works for me. But I feel like sometimes maybe I should just, sit down and finish the whole thing and send it off. But he's so good at it and we work so well that way that I'm just kind of like, yeah, just draw this thing and for a couple pages. And, not quite that bad, but so just being a little more proactive with kind of, finishing stuff and moving it on. But so far it's been working. So, it might just be a little, maybe it'll be a little smoother if I get a little more ahead of it, in the future.
That's all right. He gave me anxiety talking about spreadsheets. I was like,
Oh yeah, exactly.
I was just I live on these things.
Right. I know what personality types all you guys are based on what we've been talking about today. So like Matt and Steph are very opposite of like you and me on a couple of these different scales, but I don't want to get too nerdy on that stuff. But I definitely see exactly who fits into what category here.
There you go. Nice. So Matt, what do you feel you can improve?
So I got two different things here. The first one, from on a convention standpoint, I can tell you that, even though I'm vocal and outgoing here and I'm vocal and outgoing there, I'm not the kind of person that's very ruthless when it comes to being a closer on a sale. I have to get over that. There's some people, you go to a show and they have no conscience about finding a way to force those dollar bills out of the person that's walking down the aisle's wallet and into your hands. And I don't ever really want to be that dramatic about it, but I think I need to be a little bit more helping to convince them that it's time to close the deal. So I definitely feel like I need to work on that some. And then kind of like what Ben said, when one of the things we've been really working on is trying to make sure that we've got multiple things working at the same time. So like when this campaign is done, we already know what we're doing on the next one, and we're really a long way into it. And when that one's going on, we know exactly what we're doing on the one after, is finding ways to be able to invest enough like primary energy in the thing that's going on right now, so that way we're promoting it correctly, but also making sure we leave some energy in reserve to be working on other things in the background that need it, because when this campaign's done, the next one better be ready to go, or it's going to be months. And we all know the way the economies are, we can't be waiting months between revenue streams coming in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very much. Yep. Mr. Rosario.
Consistency. I've heard that word thrown at me multiple times from multiple people on multiple occasions. And I say, fuck that. Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm going to write what I want to write, and I'm going to release it when I want to release it, and I don't care what comes in between. No. There are no target dates that I need to hit, right? So why am I rushing to get something done by a certain date? Yes, the revenue stream to continue turning is key. Yes. But there's so many other things that I have to do, right? We run lean here, in this operation. So, sometimes hitting those target dates is not the fire that needs to be put out on that moment, right? I am, though, streamlining. So we had quite a few number of titles. The arcs have been completed on many of them. So what we're doing is streamlining to just 2 titles. That's what I need to focus on, right? Focusing on making a better book within those 2 instead of making more books to expand the catalog. I've already got the catalog, right? I've already got that diversified portfolio. So let me take what are, in my opinion, the 2 best and make them better.
All right, cool. For myself, it was something obvious. It was already pointed out. I need to pitch better, so I need to work on that. But I think the key thing I really need to work on is, it's getting the word out, right? Because I think that's something that I find always difficult for me. It's just like sitting back and trying to find that right balance between, like, I feel like I'm being a dick by announcing this so many times to so many people, or just posting it so many times online, right? That I'm just being annoying, right? And just doing it the right amount of times, where it's just like, okay, you're doing it just enough, and you're not, being a schmuck about it, because
I'm sorry to interrupt. I used
No,
to
go ahead.
I used to feel that way too. And then somebody, I don't know where, I think I saw it somewhere on social media, somebody pointed out that like Coke and Pepsi don't feel bad for putting ads on your television on every single commercial break.
Right.
Like they don't feel bad about that. So why should you feel bad about advertising your product on your Facebook page? You know what I mean? And I take that to heart. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I mean, I get where you're coming from because I felt that way before in the past too. And then I'm like, the Facebook algorithm makes sure that only a fraction of the people are seeing it anyway. So I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I don't spam it, but I certainly put it up and, you know, post about it pretty regularly. And I don't feel bad about it anymore. So just,
I'm with you, Mike. I remember one of the rules was it's going to take 5 times for somebody to see your product before they can start to remember it. Right. Another 10 times after that before they make a decision on whether they want to spend money on it or not. Right. So how many missed opportunities are between that first 5 and that second 10? You gotta do it. And that's why movie marketing budgets are double, right? Or on par with how much they spend on their production budgets.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's something that all of us in the independent comics field can say, we're spending as much money to promote the book that we are to printing the book. I know I'm not.
Right. Yeah.
True.
Right. My budget is 15% of what my last campaign was.
Right.
Right. And
that's a lot for me.
I know. That's a lot.
So 15% on advertising? No.
You see? There we go.
I got artists to feed, bro. I got artists to feed. That's all that is.
I know. But you know, how are we standing out? How are we forget about competing? How you know, how are we staying afloat? Going back to your original question, right? How are we staying afloat in this field, right? How are we standing out? You know, I think by this time, many of us know that the live streams right now is the most cost-effective way at forget about creating engagement, but creating recognition, right? Or opening that door to your product for the first time. And the more live streams you do, the more chances you got at opening that door to a potential customer. But after that, what else are we doing? Right? There's no school for this. You know, you can pay for somebody's master class in crowdfunding and probably still be at the same place where you're at right now.
Yeah.
This is true. All right. So listen, I'm gonna normally I have a third co-host, but I overbooked, so I was like, we'll keep it small. So I'm gonna open it up to you guys. Does anybody have a question they want to ask the rest of the panel? If not, it's okay. I got like 4 other questions.
I got one for you guys.
Shoot.
What do you see right now as a difference in the industry compared to a year ago at this exact moment?
What level of the industry? The crowdfunding guys?
I'm talking about it could be anything that you're doing. Like you're like, hey, I'm going to do a show, or I'm going to go consider running a Kickstarter, or I'm going to consider putting out a book, or making it a bigger or shorter, or whatever it may be. What's something you were doing a year ago at this time? What's something that you're thinking differently to do right now?
All right.
That's
I like
fair.
that. I like that. Who do you want to start with, Matt?
You know what? I think we're going to start with Jay Rosario. Boom! I put you. That's right. Going to start with you. I know you were trying to get me to go elsewhere, but I'm pinpointing.
I was hoping you would have went elsewhere. You know what? This time last year, I was focusing on the machine more than focusing on creating product. And I lost sight of what I was doing. I lost sight of building scripts, right? I had my own void. You know, I pushed through a lot of scripts that I had made during the pandemic, and I was focusing on putting together the machine, and that blew up in my face. So this year, I've already spent all the money that I spent on getting product made. So it is pushing out the product that was made, but also creating more content for those 2 streamlined books, right? So whereas last year I had a broader scope, now it's more streamlined, narrower scope, focus on getting these 2 products better, right?
Ben, what about you? What about you, Ben? What do you think?
Past 2 years, it's been progressively tighter as far as people's wallets were concerned. Really, I felt like I was on the street corners this last one, going, "Come and get your night out," and calling friends to check it out. So I can remember getting 3-4 times what I made this time before, about 3 years ago. So it's just, I hope it corrects, because this is just a pain to really work it as hard, because when you've been doing this long enough, you feel like, well, what was that about, the industry respect or something like that earlier? You feel like, guys, me, can't we, but you feel like you have to reintroduce yourself to folks to justify getting the money. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I'll do it, but it's just a lot of work.
What about you, Mike?
I think I've settled into a pretty good rhythm that works for me at Kickstarters and conventions. I know I know how to sell at a con. I've gotten pretty successful with my Kickstarters. I think the thing I'm trying to change up and focus on more is the networking side of things at conventions. I'm a pretty social guy, but I don't like to get out from behind my table because I'm always selling. And so, I've learned at a couple of the shows I've been at over the last, towards the end of last year, I made some really great connections by getting out from behind the table a few times and, meeting people, and then making friends who have other friends who then I meet through them, who are all comics professionals. And that's led me to, people who might be able to do covers for my books, or people who might help me promote my Kickstarter, or people who might, have me on a podcast. And so there's a lot of benefits to that, and it doesn't have a lot of cost associated with it. So to me, it's more like just getting more known among other comics professionals, and kind of getting into that side of things. And so I don't feel like an outsider all the time, when I'm at conventions and stuff like that.
Nice.
Cool. All right, I'll go to the other metalhead on this stream. What about you, Mr. Necro?
Last year was kind of weird because I actually wasn't drawing Frozen Dead for most of it, because I was waiting to get ready for this story. I was doing mainly Horror Adorables because my series, being that it posts daily, I had to have enough material finally for the book. Everything's like caught up. I spent 2 years, we were talking about COVID. I posted daily for the first time in years, COVID, but my entire story was clay figures of my characters and other backgrounds and shit. Like I sculpted everything and took photos and then went over it and I put the fucking words and shit in. So for 5 years now, my characters haven't even been in their series. They've been traveling through the Necroverse trying to get home. And actually, what's different this year is this book. Towards the end of this book, I finally get them home. So,
Okay.
Nice.
What about you, Mr. JD?
It's funny. It's for the longest time I'm thinking comics, right? Because I've been writing comics the longest, but in that time I've been writing prose as well, right? So now I'm actually moving in a direction where I'm starting to write, or I'm starting to consider, or actually I've already started the process of re-releasing a lot of my prose work. I'm going back to the board, I'm re-editing them and checking them out and getting them ready to go on a Kickstarter. As a matter of fact, I have an account that I created last year to do some more risque content, because I have the Oswald Chronicles. I want to keep that separate from that. And then I may create another account for my prose work. So I think that's going to be a direction that's definitely different than the way I was thinking last year. Whereas last year was just hammering the comic section of it and just moving in that direction, but yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I said, it's a matter of growth. So it's just see what's going to happen from there. So what about you, Matt?
So for us, Ben, you talked a lot about the economy and hoping Kickstarter recovers. I think that 2023, my personal feeling is the reason why we saw Kickstarter take the big dive that it did was up until then, everybody was getting pandemic money. Everybody was getting tax returns.
Right.
Last year was the first time that most people were paying in for a tax return instead of getting one back out. Mm-hmm. And I think that is basically what started to collapse Kickstarter for most people at the beginning of the year. So now right now we're in February of 2024. We're trying to keep an eye on that because we're like, okay, we really have to rethink. If you look at a lot of the people that were making hand over fist money back in the day, they were putting out huge books and 64-page books and 100-page books, and they were right off the jump. They could put out a graphic novel of all brand new content, and they'd hit the button, and just money be pouring through. Now it doesn't matter if you've got a 28-page or a 40-page or a 60-page or an 80-page. People, if they want to just get into the entry level, are backing you for the same amount of dollars. And you're like, holy crap, it cost me $8,000, $10,000 to create this book, and I made the same amount of money on Kickstarter that I made with one that's a little bit smaller. So we kind of had to rethink what we were going to be putting onto Kickstarter, how much of the outlay was going to be in there. We've kind of structured what our next 4 campaigns, including this one, are based on having a little bit less outlay into the book. So this one, unless we have a huge last 10 days, we're not going to make anywhere near what we did with the last 3 Heirs campaigns. The last 3 Heirs campaigns were 10.5, but there was also collectible vinyl records in there. And then they were in the mid-8s. We know there's no way we're going to reach that. So we're like, okay, how can we keep the title surviving in an economy that's going to give us less money back on Kickstarter? So we're really thinking about that. But then also what you said, JD, was we definitely want to get into some more prose releases, get into something. Heirs started as an ebook, and we never released that. So we're like, you know what, maybe there's a set of readers out there that want just that. Maybe we do need to have a title that is prose only that fits in with our alignment of titles. So that is something we're looking for as well.
Does it make you reevaluate how far you want to carry this title?
It does, but it's not so much that we don't want to continue to do it, because there's definitely a fan base out there. It's maybe future releases after this arc is done might be standard comic size. They might be 28 or 32 pages instead of 44 or 48 once we get to the next arc, so that way the outlay just to get it out there into people's hands is going to be less, and we could probably get it out there quicker. So that's kind of where we're at when it comes to that.
Okay.
Can I add an addendum?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. The sales I noticed, especially this time, like a week and a half ago finishing, tons of people wanting the digital version of the comic. I'm guessing because it's cheaper, and a markedly lower amount of people getting the actual copies of the comic book itself. So I don't know if all had that same issue or not, but it's kind of interesting, I thought.
Yeah, I think
50-50 for us this time.
Yeah, I think it's people wanting to support you, but just maybe not having as much cash on hand. You know,
if anybody buys it because they can read it for free.
What was that?
I think that was me getting a text. Sorry about that.
I thought somebody started hitting a metal spoon on a metal pan.
I thought you were agreeing with the statement.
That's my special sound effect when somebody makes a good point. That's just the first time I've used it tonight. No. Read it, not what you will.
Ben, you've made the first good point all night.
All it costs you is a tumor. All right.
Better at making friends, because I keep saying things like that. So
yeah. So here, we'll close out this show with a little, as Jay likes to put it, inside baseball, right?
Yeah, baby.
With some real business talk. So, with the exception of Johnny, right? But he's on the opposite end probably of this question. How much we as writers should negotiate with an artist as far as their price is concerned, right? Like, just for example, I'll give a quick example. I have an artist. I approach an artist and say, "Hey, listen, I've seen you advertise," and they put a rate up. Doesn't matter what the rate is. And I'll say, "Listen, I got 48 pages. I can give you 15% of less than what you're doing, but I'm gonna give you steady work for 48 pages." You understand? And then leave it in their hands. Is that fair?
If they accept it is.
Of course, but I mean, but how far? I said 15%. I mean, some people. I've heard some ridiculous numbers put out there. Like I'm talking about writers talking about half of what a personal offer is, so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is, like, what are your thoughts? How do you guys approach that? It's easy to say, yeah, if they accept it, that's the obvious answer. But
Right,
like,
there's some that already understand this game enough that they've already put that into their asking price. Right. Some don't even want to negotiate, and you'll understand that, right? But then some of them already have those credits that validate you saying, "Oh, okay, I will spend money on that." I don't think there's a cut and dry answer to this. I think it's variable depending on, the person you're looking to collaborate with.
Right. I'm not asking for cut and dry answer. I'm asking for your technique.
My publisher, Jason Doobie, does all the negotiating with all of the artists, and he tries to get me the fairest possible dollar. Now, for instance, we like to invite Steph Wilson on to do a cover now, and then we have to pretty much pay his top price. But for most of it, we get, it's pretty much a good bang for your buck. So.
Okay.
I've been working with the same artist for 4 years now. He does a great job, and he's very affordable. He's only raised his rates on me one time. The thing for me is I do multiple variant covers like you guys do, Matt, and that's where I have to go to different artists. And a lot of times that's one of the hardest things for me, because by the time I'm prepping my new book, I've run out of the money from the old Kickstarter, so I have to pay for covers up front, and they can be expensive. So I try to do a mix of kind of like lesser known guys that are more affordable and put in like one or two more known guys who are a little more expensive. Generally, I ask people what their rate is. And then when it's too high, I say, okay, thanks. Then I'll do next time until I find somebody that I can afford.
Yeah.
Occasionally, if it's somebody that's like kind of on the edge of my price, I might be like, hey, could you drop, could we settle on this? Or like sometimes, with one of my cover artists on this last book, I was like, what's the best price you can give me? We're friends, we've done a lot of conventions together, and he gave me a price that I was happy with, so I didn't feel like I needed to negotiate any further than that. Sometimes they're just out of my price range, and I just say, then forget it. I don't bother negotiating because I don't,
right.
I get them down low to what I can afford.
I got you. I've seen Arthur Adams at shows, and I'll be like, no.
Yeah. Jim Lee keeps getting me down. I don't know why. I think the $300 I'm offering him sounds more than fair.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay the $20,000?
No, yeah. If I can do it $100 a year for the next 200 years, then sure.
Nice. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't think there's a problem at all with negotiation. Not that the comic industry is Pawn Stars, but we've all seen Pawn Stars for decades, and the price that Rick offers at the beginning and the price that the person coming in is asking for from Rick are never what they really want. They want to find a way to meet in the middle of something that's reasonable. And I think that there is a set of artists that are out there that are going to be like, you know what, I'm going to ask this price so I have some negotiation room. They understand that we're not all made of money. They understand that we we have to have something that's going to work for us as creators as well. And you get, honestly, if I can pay the artists that we have more money, I would love to do it, because the work that we get is worth more than we're paying. When we pay a decent amount, but it's worth a lot more than that. But you know what? My time is worth money too, and I can't go into debt just to make sure I'm paying an artist. So I need them to be reasonable. So exactly what you guys have said. If we ask a price from somebody and it's just completely off the wall, then we're not even going to entertain that, because we don't want to be like, well, we can only afford 1/3 of what you're saying, because that's just an insult. But if it's like, hey, they give me what theirs is, and then we're like, hey, well, listen, we've got a 48-page book, or we've got an arc that's coming up, but our top dollar we can pay on this is X per page, but we're going to make sure we pay you on time. We make sure, one of the things that we do, we don't normally pay unless it's a cover. We don't normally pay anything up front. We normally are paying a couple of pages at a time, and we pay it promptly. And we tell the artist, like, look, the reason we do that is so that way there's motivation on your side, and you can see that we're people of our words on this side as well. Because if we pay you, and we've had it happen, we've all had it happen, where you pay a big amount up front and the artist goes you, and then you don't have a budget left for your book, because it's half of it is sitting in an artist's fridge somewhere, because he's already spent all the money. So we try to make sure that we tell them, hey, look, this is how we're going to operate, and we will pay you every 3 pages. And as soon as they send it, we make sure to get it back out there, and they see that they can trust where we're at. If we don't pay them when they're done with the next 3 pages, well, they know they can go move on, and they haven't invested into 20 pages, we are going to pay them then, but then we also know if they don't keep drawing, that we haven't invested thousands out there that we're never going to get back. So if that's, I feel like that's an answer to your question. Hopefully it is, but that's my answer.
You guys make me glad I write and draw my own shit. I've had several pinup artists. The most they wanted was a copy of the fucking book.
Yeah.
Nice.
To be able to draw.
Yeah.
Make
I
like,
didn't think it could, but
But Matt, you almost made Jay cry.
Say that again.
Matt, you almost made Jay cry though.
And I
Hey,
simultaneously
that's all right, man.
I simultaneously said, "Oh, for a muse of fire," when he said, "Oh, for a price" or whatever. So,
Yeah, no, I agree with Matt. I mean, it's the same system I use. I usually pay half up front on a couple of pages, and then I cover my other half, and I pay very promptly. So, I think that's a system that works, and it works well.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to come down to you turn in the page, you get paid for the page.
Right. That's reasonable.
well, with my publisher, I can we do that like 3-4 at a time. But if something falls through on that, and he will cover it and get me an alternate artist. If so I mean that's why the only times I've really paid too much is when I went outside that system and paid on my own. But when I go through Jason, I always get the best price. So
Okay.
I'm having to be a broker.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
I'm not
And
a broker, get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like an artist is gonna know how to talk to another artist and know what the bullshit level is. And
Right.
They're not gonna
walks,
accept it. Yeah, they're gonna be like, bro, like we all know, right?
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we made it to the 2 hours. Thank you so much. You guys were all awesome. Ben, let's start with you. Please, where can we find you and your work, sir?
The exact thing that you showed earlier, scatteredcomics.com/Ben, Ben, little dash Tinsley, Tinsley. All my comics are on there, all up to the minute. We've got a couple hopefully coming up. Like I was telling you, the translation of my mom's romance novel, Apollo and the Artemis Kill Squad, and Jin Stalkers, all coming up really fast. And we're working on some other stuff too. So.
Nice.
All right, cool. Mike?
Yeah, so right now we're in the pre-launch. We have a pre-launch page on Kickstarter. I don't know if you will see, but that's the URL, tinyurl.com/8bit/1. And but also all the social medias, Out of Time Comics, just like it's spelled on the screen there. And you'll be seeing the link, and I'll be, just like we were talking about JD, I'll be posting it all over the place. So if you follow us on any of the socials, you will see the link for that. It launches in about a week. And then outoftimecomics.com is our website. So you can order any of our back issues there, and occasionally see news up when I remember to update the page, but I'm not so good with that.
Cool. Matt, where can we find you and your work, sir?
All right. Right now, the best place you can go is tinyurl.com/heirs, HEIRS, TPP3. That's the Heirs, the Perilous Prospects 3. We are super stoked about this story. Even if it's something where you've never picked up an Heirs book before, this is one of our favorite parts of the story, the way that this issue has been constructed, and the things that are going to happen. You might think you know where the story is going to go. When you get to issue 3, then you're going to get there and you're going to be like, Matt, Steph, you guys done tricked me. Because it goes in a completely different direction, and we had so much fun with that swerve. We also got tons of other stuff, like Mike said before. We make sure we have things to catch up. If you missed, say, I Am Keto, or a specific cover, or a shirt, a pair of socks that we did, we try to have all that stuff up there on the campaign. We know money is tight, but even if you're somebody that's like, hey, I can only support you for $1, well, you know what? The algorithm out there's people that follow you on Kickstarter, and if you back it for $1, they're going to see, Jay Rosario backed this thing, and maybe they'll go see. They don't see what the dollar amount was. They just see he did it, and that becomes an advocation for your campaign.
Yep.
So if you're out there and you can only afford something small, that still helps. 5 more backers, we get to that 100 backers, and we get that PDF that's never been in a campaign before. You can also go to Linktree/InSymmetry Creations. That's Linktree.com/INSYMMETRY Creations. That's where you can get to all of our links, the metal music, all of our other titles, our main website, all of Steph's articles that she's written for Fangoria, Creepy Kingdom, Horror Geek Life. and all kinds of other stuff. Our Substack link for our blog of Destiny and all that. But we'd love for you to be on the Kickstarter. Boom. Back to you guys.
Nice. Johnny, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Well, I just discovered Linktree too. I'm moving into the modern age. You can look up Frozen Dead 13 on Linktree. Facebook Random Insanity Productions has all 24 years of Frozen Dead. You can send me a friend request at Horror Adorables that has all of that stuff. And if you want to see my music just on Facebook, type in Johnny Necro 13 because my character in the comic, Johnny Necro, is the name of my newest band. After all these years, it's come full circle. So
nice. Cool. Mr. Rosario.
UnstoppableComics.com. You can find all my social media links on the website. Find out what's coming up next when you follow those links.
All right, cool. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places under JD Calderon, theoswaldchronicles.com, 12talesonline.com, and primarily on Kickstarter. So you can find me all there. And just remember, everybody, in the show notes are the links to all of these different campaigns. So you can just click on those links in the show notes, buy these books. They're awesome books. These independent creators deserve your support. They're great creators, great books. So go check them out. Just remember, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, guys.
Later.
See ya.
thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.